Okay, have you ever wished you could just know what someone is really thinking? I mean, not just the words they're saying, but what's actually going on in their head, deep down? Well, today we're going to dive into exactly that. We're looking at the new science of reading people. And let me tell you, it goes way beyond what you think you know.
But first, before we get to all the cool new stuff, we have to talk about what most of us have been getting totally wrong for, well, forever. For decades, the way we've tried to read people has been based on a handful of old and honestly pretty shaky rules. So let me ask you straight up, do you think you're a good judge of character? Yeah, most of us do. We rely on these little clues, right? Stuff like body language, to figure people out. But what if I told you those rules of thumb are actually kind of junk? What if they're leading you in the completely wrong direction?
Okay, let's take a classic. You see someone cross their arms and your brain just screams, ah, defensive, closed off. But the reality? It's usually way simpler. You know, maybe they're just cold, or maybe the chair's uncomfortable. We've just been so trained to hunt for these secret meanings that we miss the obvious.
And here's another one, the big one. No eye contact means they're lying, right? Well, sure, that might work on your kid who has chocolate all over their face. But here's the kicker. Professional liars, they know this trick better than you do. In fact, people who are really trying to deceive you will often go out of their way to stare you right in the eye to sell the lie.
So you see, relying on these simple behaviors is just a recipe for getting it wrong. When all you've got in your toolkit are these surface-level guesses, you're going to misinterpret things constantly. It is time for a major upgrade.
Okay, so if we can't really trust body language, where do the secrets hide? The answer, it turns out, isn't in what people do with their bodies, but in what they say with their mouths. The real clues are baked right into the words they choose.
And look, this isn't some self-help gimmick. This is the real deal. These are the cutting-edge methods that agencies like the FBI, the CIA, and the NSA use. We're talking about profiling people with just uncanny accuracy, sometimes from nothing more than a text message or a voicemail.
The fancy term for all this is psycholinguistics, but all it really means is studying how our language, the patterns we use, the way we build our sentences, how it acts like a secret blueprint to what's going on in our subconscious. It reveals stuff we might not even realize we're thinking.
And here's the absolute key to the whole thing. A single weird phrase? That's just noise. It doesn't mean anything. But a consistent pattern in how someone talks? Ah, now that's the signal. That, right there, is what reveals everything.
All right, let's get into our first real tool. And trust me, this one is a game changer. We are going to crack what's called the pronoun code. And it all comes down to focusing on one of the smallest yet most powerful words we use, the word I.
So here's the rule. It's super simple. Using first-person pronouns, words like I, me, my, it's a sign of psychological ownership. When we say I, we are subconsciously committing to what we're saying. So when those words suddenly disappear from how someone is talking, that's when your ears should perk up.
And check out how this works in the real world. Think about getting a compliment. Someone who's being sincere will put themselves in the sentence. I loved your presentation. But someone who's just going through the motions, they take themselves out of it. Nice presentation. See that? The lack of I creates this little subconscious distance from something they don't really mean.
This whole idea of distancing language is huge, especially in high-stakes situations. Cops know this. Someone filing a false insurance claim will say, the car was stolen, not my car. A kid trying to get out of trouble will say his brother fell because it avoids them having to say, I pushed him. It's this fundamental subconscious trick we use to distance ourselves from a lie.
And this is so much bigger than just catching lies. Get this. A study of job interviews found that high performers use about 60% more first-person pronouns. 60%. Why? It's because they own their accomplishments. They're not afraid to say, I did this, or my experience shows that. Their language just naturally reflects that confidence and responsibility.
Okay, so we know that tiny little words like I can reveal a ton, but the analysis does not stop there. Our next tool is just as powerful, and it has nothing to do with the words people pick, but everything to do with the order they say them in.
The principle here is simple. Sequence reveals significance. The order that someone lists things, people, ideas, whatever, it's not random. It's a direct line into their subconscious priorities. Whatever comes out of their mouth first, that's what matters most to them.
There's this incredible ancient story that illustrates this perfectly. Two women are in front of King Solomon, right? Both are claiming to be the mother of a baby.
The liar goes first, and she says, "Your son is the dead one." She starts with the other woman. But the real mother? Her first words are, "My son is the live one." Her mind, her entire focus, was on her living child, so she mentioned him first. Solomon knew instantly.
And this isn't just some old story, it happens today. Take this example of an art dealer looking at 5 paintings. He talks about 4 of them, but one little painting, he completely ignores it. He just skips it. That omission, that little break in the sequence, was the tell. Because of course, the one he skipped was the most valuable piece by far. His real interest was revealed by what he didn't say.
So, we've looked at some really powerful tools for figuring other people out. But for this last part, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to turn that magnifying glass around and point it right back at ourselves.
Because here's the thing, as cool as these techniques are for understanding other people, their real power might just be as a mirror. When you start applying this lens to yourself, listening to your own words, you can learn some absolutely incredible things about your own mind.
So that's the real question, isn't it? What do your own words say about you? When you tell a story, what do you always mention first? Do you use I a lot, or do you avoid it? Just start listening to yourself. You might be shocked at what you hear about your own priorities, your fears, and even your own happiness.
And I want to share one last really profound insight with you. Research has actually proven that the way you describe other people says way more about you than it does about them. If you tend to see everyone else as negative or dishonest, that's actually a strong predictor of your own unhappiness. But if you consistently see the good in others, that's linked to your own emotional stability and well-being.
I'll leave you with this amazing thought from Ralph Waldo Emerson. He said that our opinion of the world is really a confession of our own character. Think about that. The language you use, the judgments you make, they're all painting a picture, not just of the world out there, but of the world inside you. So I guess the final question is, what is your language confessing about you?